Welcome into Tapping Vegas, and today we're going over UFC 302. It's kind of boring behind me because Better and Green is actually in the middle of a move. We are having a new HQ coming soon. But Bobby, last card, we didn't have a card last week, but the last card we did pretty well. Why don't you tell the people how we did?
Yeah, so the last fight card that we covered was May 18th of this year. That was the Edson Barboza versus LaRon Murphy card. And yeah, we ended up going up a nice little plus 3.7 units, bolstered by my correct call on Kalen Williams by a vicious KO TKO over Carlston Harris. And believe you called the Adrian Yanez KO TKO. That definitely helped us up.
Yeah.
And you also were good on Tom Nolan. So we had some good shit that propelled us forward on that card. And, you know, we're slowly working our way back up into plus money and plus units right now. So bigger and better things are ahead.
All right, Bobby, why don't you start us off for this week?
Yeah, the first fight we're going to be covering on this main card, we have Randy Rude Boy Brown versus Zaleski dos Santos. And this is a very intriguing fight here. Randy Brown is a 33-year-old prospect in the welterweight division, which is about as encouraging as being the most active sexual participant in the nursing home. Not exactly something to brag about, but nonetheless, you do you, boo. And then we have Zaleski dos Santos, who is older at 37, but it's not a huge age difference. And to kind of just get into the meat and potatoes of this fucking issue and just cut to the bread like I'm a knife, Zaleski dos Santos is a screaming pick for me on this one. You want to know why? Because other than look like a 1920s Jim Crow era caricature of an African American, Randy Brown hasn't really done much for me in his career. And his track record tends to prove that he is aggressively average. That is about all Randy Brown's ever going to be, unfortunately, in the UFC with as many fights as he's had, because the 33-year-old prospect is because he's been in the UFC since January of 2016. If you haven't shown a flash by now, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. This is your career. And he's lost to Michael Graves, Bilal Muhammad, Nico Price, Vicente Luque, Jack Della Maddalena. No shame in losing to a lot of those people except for Michael Graves, but who has he beaten? Alex Oliveira, Jared Gooden, barely beat Chaos Williams by split decision, the ghost of Francisco Trinaldo, Muslim Salikov, Wellington Turman. I'm just not impressed. And with the odds currently sitting at minus 180 for Randy Brown right now and Zaleski dos Santos at a plus 150. The only thing that's giving me hesitancy is that age. And it's not a huge age gap once again, so scared money don't make money. And I know you guys love it when I play it safe and keep it minty. Zaleski dos Santos money line at plus 150 right now is screaming out to me. You know, age ain't nothing but a number, R. Kelly said. I'm going to borrow another R. Kelly line for this one. Your body is calling out to me, and it's calling out to me to put plus 150 money line on Zaleski dos Santos. What do you got, Ben?
You know, one of the things that I look for is that the person that they both fought Salikov, and I was pretty heavy on the Salikov train against Randy Brown, and then Randy Brown just put him to sleep. But Dos Santos lost to Salikov. He did beat Benoit Saint Denis, Dos Santos did, but it's just one of those things. If you rewind the clock 4 years for Dos Santos versus Randy Brown, I would say Dos Santos wins. Randy Brown's only two losses in the 2020s, like you said, were to like good guys, were to Luque and JDM. And Jack Della Maddalena is your guy. He's one of the like hottest prospects that we got right now.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. In 2024, did you just say Luque was good though?
No, I mean, come on, man. He lost to Luque in the 2020s, I said. He lost to Luque a couple years ago.
That's aged like milk. That's all I'm getting at. Because you want to know who also got flatlined by Zaleski dos Santos?
Who?
Sean Strickland. Yeah. Sean Strickland got flatlined by a spinning wheel kick.
Well, we'll talk about Sean Strickland a little bit more here pretty soon. But I have to go with Randy Brown with this one. I really didn't think he was going to beat Salikov. And he really impressed me. I don't like this fight. I don't have a super strong lean either way, but Randy Brown's going to be the pick for me.
Yeah, I was also on the Salikov train for that fight too. I
Yeah.
remember picking him. I'm 95% sure, but the thing is, that fight actually is what made the stock of Salikov drop faster than my fucking pants on a Friday night at the whorehouse, dog. Like, I just, I don't know, just ain't really feeling it after that. But hey, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm gonna stick with Zaleski dos Santos as a cheeky little pick.
I like it, man. I like it. Next fight, we got Jailton Almeida versus Alexander Romanov. Almeida went 5 rounds with Derek Lewis, and with that knockout power, if you can just get by, that's pretty impressive to me. He's in great shape and very, very fast for the division. Which, when you look at the heavyweight division, a lot of these guys like Derek Lewis, he is not really a gladiator-looking fella, if you know what I mean by that. And Almeida has all aspects to it. A lot of these heavyweights are just big guys that have that KO power. Looking at you, Mason Tybura. Speaking of Tybura, the loss to Tybura for Alexander Romanov, I feel like took a lot of steam out of him, and now he's just kind of a tubby guy that goes in there. I don't have a whole bunch of faith in him. He hasn't been the same since that fight. He hasn't fought in almost a year. Almeida, he's got all the aspects that he can sub you, he can knock you out, he can win by decision, and just that edge he's going to have with his gas tank. I think he's going to finish Romanov. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout or a sub. He actually has more sub wins than he has knockouts. So I'm just going to go with the double method. You can get it right now at a -135. So you can get that at a really, really nice price just for Almeida to finish it. What do you think, Bobby?
All right, so here's what I think. Jailton Almeida, you absolutely fucking suck, and why you're a -298 at one of the shittiest divisions in modern mixed martial arts is a fucking travesty. I don't know why. Alexander Romanov is a +240. I don't fucking know why he's a +240. They both fucking suck. Almeida is also coming off a brutal KO loss to Curtis Blades March of this year. Very fucking bad. Even though he embarrassed my boy Derek Lewis, I'm not gonna hold that against him. Choking out Biggie Boy Jairzinho Rosenstrike is like getting a participation trophy at the fucking Elia gangbang. It's not really going to add up to very much in your long-term career aspirations, but you do you, boo, go off. TKO and Shamil Abdulkarimov in January 2023. Once again, it's like being the sixth guy in the gangbang. Nothing to brag about, but you do you. Parker Porter, I don't know why the fuck John Jones is fucking cum rag still even in the UFC, and I don't even know who Danilo Marquez is. All that to say, I like Alexander Romanov. I think he's got a cool name. He's like the polar bear or some crazy shit, and he's from fucking Moldova. We got a million fucking Brazilians, and I think he's the only Moldovan, and a pretty heavy plus fucking underdog. At those odds and heavyweight, where any fucking sack of shit can rise up to the top and fucking be utterly and totally whelming, why not go with him at the money line and fucking really go out swinging big dick style?
All right, we are 2 for 2 in disagreeing. Let's see how these last 3 pan out. Why don't you take the next one, man?
We got Kevin Holland versus Michal Oleksiejczuk, and this one doesn't really need too much introduction, too much fucking fluff on it. Kevin Holland -290. Oleksiejczuk +235. This is one I do not disagree with at all. Kevin Holland deserves to be this heavy as a favorite. This is going to be a nice little bounce back performance from him after dropping an embarrassing fucking decision to MVP, in which he was just the most timid, gun-shy little fucker, like a liberal arts student on New York City campus. Just totally terrified of some firepower. Like, you take him out to the range with a fucking 22, and he's like, "Oh my God, this sounds really loud." And I don't know why, because Kevin Holland usually is out there just swinging and banging, doing his thing, being goofy, being loose. And in the words of Connor, when he's yelling at Artem on the Ultimate Fighter, keep it flowy, keeping it flowy. But he didn't do that against MVP, and I don't know why. And it just turned out to be really fucking shitty for bettors like myself and for anybody else who just watched the fucking fight in general. But this is a nice little bounce back fight for him, a perk of being one of the UFC's boys, setting him up for success against a very easily hittable Oleksiejczuk with pretty shitty to subpar striking defense. And, not really he's well-rounded enough, I guess you could say. He's not absolutely terrible compared to some fighters that are out there. signed to the active roster of the UFC, but let's be real about it. His place is to be a nice little bounce back fighter. He's that he's a little pick me up when you need that in your life. He's the one you take home and you get your self esteem back and then you move on to the next one type thing. That's what Oleksiejczuk, that's what he fulfills. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs a girl like that in their life. Excuse me, I mean a fighter like that in their life to just crush and get their confidence back. But I mean, he's coming off a round 1 loss to my boy Michal Pereira. Oleksiejczuk is March of this year. I like Pereira. He's good. That's my boy. But you got choked out by him in round 1 minute and 1 second in. Not really looking good for you. You knocked out Chidi Ninja Kwani. I don't even know who the fuck that is. Don't care to know him. Then you got choked out by Cal Borello last year. So, I mean, you KO'd Cody Brundage. I mean, even Bo Nickel couldn't do that. So, I mean, whatever, Bo. Whatever, dude. Go off. But nonetheless, you know what you're getting with Michal Oleksiejczuk. I like Polish fighters. I've said it many times, but this guy ain't it. Kevin Holland's just the better guy in every aspect of the game, rangier guy, all that fun shit. So let's see. Kevin Holland to take the sting off that pretty heavy minus 290. Plus 240 KO TKO. Let's see how many times Oleksiejczuk's got his ass fucking KO'd. It's been subbed a lot. Has he been KO'd quite a bit? Let's find out, folks. Damn, he actually usually does the KO one. I'll give him credit. You know what? As many times as this motherfucker's been choked out, this guy must be into sub play. I wonder if he's in BDSM because he loves being fucking choked. I'm going to say that Kevin Holland actually chokes him out because Kevin Holland is a pretty competent grappler against people like him that have no fucking submission defense to speak of. So I actually could see that really playing out for Kevin Holland, getting a nice little sub at plus 250. So fuck it, we ball. Why not? Kevin Holland by sub plus 250 to take the edge off that minus 290 money line. What do you got?
Well, I'm on Kevin Holland also. He did lose to JDM by the split decision, but I think that's more of a positive for Kevin Holland than it is a negative. He was pointed to death by MVP. MVP didn't beat him. He beat him on the scorecards, not in the ring. I mean, his dance around,
Right.
keep you at range style, just pit, pat. I mean, Kevin Holland wasn't taking major damage.
Right.
So this is, like you said, a good bounce back spot for him. He's kind of the gatekeeper of the division, but now he gets to move up, and he's not going to be having to cut the weight that he normally does. So I think he's going to be coming in at 100%. He's going to be ready to go. Oleksiejczuk, he beats these no-name dudes and then loses to these mid-ranked to unranked but talked about guys. He only beats these dudes you've never heard of, pretty much. Mostly wins by knockouts. He has 17% of the bets, so he is the underdog. And you're like, oh, well, how much sharp money's coming in on him? Well, actually, it's minus 1%. He's only getting 16% of the money. So nobody thinks he's going to win. He's not going to win. Maybe Oleksiejczuk is able to make it to decision. So you can get the decision and the sub at plus 105. So I think I'm just going to go that direction and just make sure I get paid out.
All right, player. I see you play, player.
I was thinking KO decision, but after listening to you, I'm changing it. So, of course, now he's going to get the knockout. We're both going to lose. That's how it goes, right?
No, that's why we split the difference because we're smart motherfuckers like we did on that Chaos Williams fight. Because we actually have above room temperature IQs unlike all these other fuckwads.
Well, let's talk about my favorite fight. It's Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. This, I mean, how could it not be the Nuck If You Buck fight of the night?
Ooh, this is tantalizing.
I cannot wait for this fight. Sean Strickland, he can grapple, but he's mainly a striker. He's going to kind of like MVP. He's going to point you to death, uses that range. He's ranked number 1 right now. Paulo Costa, also mainly a striker that looks for haymakers, so he doesn't throw as much as I would like at times. Got good head kicks, and you were saying earlier that Sean Strickland lost to a head kick. He got knocked out. Paulo Costa, I believe he's a plus 200 money line right now. He's getting 34% of the bets, 46% of money. So he is the underdog with sharp money coming in. A plus 200. Vegas actually wants the other side to win. They'd rather pay out the 54% at minus 200 than the 46% at plus 200. Right? This is a huge fight for Costa. If he really wants to come in, and you always want to fight a guy above you, and you can't go any higher than the champion right now with Sean Strickland at number 1. I think Paulo Costa gets it done. I think Paulo Costa is able to beat Sean Strickland. The bad thing, even if this was 5 rounds, I think that would favor Strickland more because I think he can win by decision and he can win by knockout. I don't think if Robert Whittaker didn't knock out Costa, I don't think Strickland's going to knock out Costa. Can Costa catch Strickland? I think Strickland, he has that low hand stance, kind of stalks forward slowly. He looks stiff. I think Costa can catch him, and I'm taking Costa just on the fact that if it goes to decision, it can be 50-50, but if it's going to be an early stoppage, it's going to be Costa. So I will lean the Costa side, just take a money line. What do you think, Bobby?
Throwing me for a loop. I didn't expect that, but that's okay because we got a story to tell, so follow along with this. So not to get too political, but I'm a big fan of when like the movie industry or television or books, when they shake things up a little bit. Like, I didn't care that the Little Mermaid was black type thing, but there's 2 things I'm really excited for that are coming up soon that I think are going to be really great for America. The first thing is Ryan Gosling is going to be cast in a George Floyd biopic, so I'm pretty pumped up about that. God. The second thing I'm pretty pumped up about is Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa is going to play out like a bargain bin DVD version of Sean Strickland portraying Israel Adesanya in his fight against Paulo Costa. So Sean Strickland's Israel Adesanya, and Paulo Costa is still Paulo Costa, and he's going to get picked apart. And he's just going to get absolutely destroyed by cardio kickboxing. And I think we're going to see a vintage Sean Strickland performance, not in the same vein as, wow, holy shit, he's actually coming forward and screaming in somebody's face and throwing punches and almost knocked out a glory kickboxing champion in Israel Adesanya in the first or second fucking round. No, what I mean is we're going to get a vintage Sean Strickland performance, and that he's going to be scooting 3 feet away while throwing cardio kickboxing jabs and screaming, "Come the fuck on," to an advancing Paulo Costa, who historically, throughout his young yet tumultuous UFC career, has about much IQ of cutting off the ring as a fucking paper bag. He has no fucking idea how to cut off the ring. He has no idea how to move in anything other than a straight line forwards and backwards. He's like a fucking kangaroo. He can't go backwards. And bear in mind, I love Paulo Costa. I love the memes. I love the comedy and all that. But at this stage in his career, he's better suited to be a fucking comedian than an MMA fighter, because gone are the glory days of him having that high kick and that body kick and those vicious thudding kicks in general. He hasn't displayed those since the Johnny Hendricks Uriah Hall fight. And mind you, one of those fights was in 2017 and one of those fights was in 2018. And I think people forget he's been around a lot longer than it seems and hasn't had that many fights. And that speaks to his level of inactivity and to his level of just not being able to hang with the upper echelons. Once he made his way past the Gareth McClellans and the Olawoye Bamboses and the washed up Johnny Hendricks of the world, in his last 4 fights, he's 1-3. And his only win out of those 4 fights was against a washed up, chin destroyed Luke Rockhold, who he couldn't even knock out. A gust of wind and fucking Luke Rockhold's being flown into the Empire State Building. Like the man's chin in 2022 when he fought Paulo Costa, he could have been fucking flicked on the temple and he would have been unconscious and in the ICU for 2 days. And he took him to a very grindy, hard-fought, mind you, unanimous decision win over Luke Rockhold. That doesn't exactly inspire much confidence in me, you know? And it's just unfortunate. He's coming off a unanimous decision loss to Robert Whittaker, the clearly superior karate kickboxer right there. Hard-fought fucking loss to Marvin Vettori. The embarrassment of Israel Adesanya just dismantling him in the fucking second round. And that's it. that's really it to speak of other than the Yo Romero fight. And there you have Paulo Costa's entire career. And once again, I like the guy. I'm a huge fan. I wanted him to be that dude. I wanted him to be that dog, but the x-rays came back and there's just a kitten in there right now. And I got to see something before I start to believe again. Because, motherfucker, this ain't Journey. I stopped believing 3 years ago. And ain't shit changed, dog, except the clothes. So I'm not on the Paulo Costa train, and it fucking sucks because I want to be. But that motherfucker ain't left the station for me, and it's going to stay in that motherfucker. So Sean Strickland at minus 238 money line fucking sucks, but it is what it is. That's what I'm going to take because I think Sean Strickland's just going to back up, play it safe, just do vintage, like I said, cardio kickboxing, screaming, motherfucker, come at me, but I'm taking 3 steps back and you can't close the distance. And that's going to be a fucking wrap. And, like, it's going to be a knuck if you buck because this whole fucking card's lethargic. And it's like picking the fucking best apple out of a fucking rotten field. But I could see all the ways that this actually turns into a fucking snoozer, quite honestly, unfortunately. And this motherfucker's going to put this guy right here to bed pretty fucking early if it does turn into a snoozer because ain't nobody got time for that bullshit. So Sean Strickland money line for me.
Are you not worried at all that Costa is like, he has these huge ranges of inactivity between fights? He's actually had one fairly recent that what he needed is to get the rust knocked off, and now he can go forward and be kind of like what we thought he was going to be.
I thought that after the long period of time between the Adesanya fight. Let's see how long that was because this motherfucker has done nothing but take time off. Yeah, he took off a year between the Adesanya-Vettori fight. The Vettori fight, he didn't even make weight. Once again, he won the court of public opinion. He was like the first guy in the history of the UFC to make weight, and a lot of people just found it funny instead of being irrationally angry, like calling for him to be castrated and shit. So people actually thought it was funny, and the memes and all that, and his personality made up for it because he's got pretty privilege, as the liberals would say. But, he took a year off. And then from the Vettori fight, he didn't take quite a year off, but that was the Vettori fight was October 2021. Didn't fight again until August 2022, so almost another year off. Just like 2 months shy of another full fucking year of inactivity, just to come back. And the only thing that we've seen since then, after a year off and damn near another year off, and all that you've shown me and almost 2 years off, taking time to supposedly get your head on straight after getting fucking humped, literally humped by Israel Adesanya, all you've shown me is you can take Luke Rockhold in 2022 to a unanimous decision. Once again, that's about as much confidence as me trusting a wet fart after fucking all night Taco Bell.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, Bobby, take us to our the main fight of the night, the title fight.
Gilly Gang rise up. Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev. I love that little pea-head son of a bitch, Dustin Poirier. What a Louisiana hot sauce drinking, brawling, charitable son of a bitch he is. All you fucking Dagestani dick riders out there thinking that Islam Makhachev's just going to go out there and fucking just absolutely throttle Dustin Pride of Louisiana, great husband, father of the year 2024, fucking Poirier. Wee woo wee! I'm pulling you over for riding that dick without a license, baby. And here's why: multiple Gilly attempts, multiple choking him the fuck out. Another BDSM practitioner on the mats, choking motherfuckers out. Don't mind that out of probably 30 fucking Gilly attempts, none have actually succeeded. Let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about the fact he does try it, all right? He do be swinging that shit, though. He do be swinging that Gilly, though. So let's just talk about that, all right? Let's not talk about the fact that Islam Makhachev is a sizable minus 625 and Dustin Poirier is at a plus 455, right now. Let's not talk about that. And, all right, I can't fucking keep up this bullshit anymore. Let's just cut right to the fucking chase. Dustin Poirier doesn't have a fucking horse's wet dream. He could fuck that up if he did have it. He doesn't have a fucking shot in this goddamn fight. There's absolutely nothing going for him. I know what all you little motherfucking whiny-ass bitches out there that are disappointed that I'm giving the real spit right now are going to say, Islam and Khabib aren't the same. And I read this article that was about psychology and fighting and archetypes and fighting. And Khabib's more of an extrovert, so that's what makes his style different than Islam's. And Islam fights more introverted, more closed up, and he's less willing to take risks. And that's why he's going to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's not going to fucking happen. Yes, their fight styles are different. It doesn't have anything to do with fucking personalities and archetypes and whether or not Abu Bakr and fucking Khabib's dad hugged him enough as a fucking kid after wrestling practice. It has everything to do with the fact that point blank period in every aspect of the game, increasingly in striking, which is starting to look pretty fucking scary, as evidenced by him knocking the fucking head off Alexander Volkanovski. His striking's starting to look pretty fucking scary, just as much as his grappling is. In every facet of the game, he's just a better fucking fighter than Dustin Poirier. And I know we'd all love a nice little fairy tale, happy tale ending where Dustin Poirier gets this last, final, undeserved fucking, mind you, title shot. His, third, fourth in 3 years fucking title shot, undeserved. And he wins and he goes happily ever after off into the fucking forest with the belt that he doesn't deserve. But I know just because your parents are still letting you live at home at fucking 40 and all that shit that you think that's the way the world works. It ain't. The world's a cold, dark fucking place, and it's going to shit all over you just like it's going to shit all over Dustin Poirier. And happy tales and fairy tales don't fucking exist. So once you fucking see Dustin Poirier get KO'd unconscious or choked the fuck out on live TV Saturday night, you're going to be acting all actually, no, you won't. You won't be acting surprised. You'll be joining the fucking legions of people like myself and Ben who are like, we fucking saw it coming. You act like you always fucking knew it was going to happen, even though you didn't, and you wanted to have false fucking hope. I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm not here to sell you fucking false hope. Islam Makhachev, it doesn't even matter which way you pick. You're just going to be stuck with that shitty-ass money line. KO TKO plus 275, sub minus 120, decision plus 500. It ain't going to decision. He's going to steamroll all over the fucking man. He's got no hope other than that bitch-ass guillotine that, once again, he's tried on everybody, Khabib included, and it's never fucking worked. And you really think Islam Makhachev's not going to be prepared for him to jump that fucking guillotine, even though it's totally uncalled for and unnecessary and puts him at risk and instantly on his back? That's the best shot he's got. That's the only shot he's got. Islam Makhachev money line. What do you got?
Bobby, how fucking dare you assume who I'm going to pick?
Gilly gang rise up, huh?
Man, okay, so I forgot who was saying this, but they brought up such a good point. So we've seen guys with like takedown numbers that are like kind of on the higher end, whereas Makhachev is only like, I believe it's only 2 or 3 takedowns per fight. He brought up a great point. That's because once he takes you down, you don't get back up. So right. if you make it, 3 rounds, he'll take you down 3 times. And so you just don't get back up until the fight's over. Like, this dude, he ends everything. He takes you down, keeps you there. He's a sub artist. He beat Volk twice. He beat Charles Oliveira. And then right now, if you go on the UFC website and you go to the rankings, the pound for pound number 1 fighter is Islam Makhachev. And what does that mean? That means that the UFC is a premier combat fighting organization in the world. So when they say he's the number 1 pound for pound fighter, they're saying that nobody on earth could beat this guy. Nobody on the planet could beat this guy, at least size, like within that same size range. Like, we're not going to talk about John Jones versus Islam Makhachev. We're not going to go there. But they're just saying this is the baddest dude on the planet. And now you're giving him Dustin Poirier, who's going to jump the gilly, just like you said. So Islam might not even have to do the takedowns. He'll just go to his back for him. He puts himself in these really bad positions, and we saw him and got punished by Benoit Saint Denis in the first, it seemed. And then Dustin got it in the second. If I'm remembering it correctly, it was the second. He's not. When he tries that, he's going to get subbed. I'm just going to go straight to it at the minus 120. I know it'd be kind of nice to get the KO. It's going to the ground, whether it's a takedown by Islam or it's Dustin Poirier jumping the gilly. And like, it's almost a meme now. Like, his corner was like, don't do it, don't do it. He's like, I'm fucking doing it. Like, he's going to do it, and it's going to end badly for him. I don't see this being a long fight. I could see it ending in the first. Like you said, there's no way it's going 5. There's no way it's going decision. I doubt it goes past 3. Islam Makhachev, give me the -120 sub, because this fight's going to the mat. Any way you want to break it down, this fight's going to the mat, and he's getting sub. That's Makhachev's thing, and he could get the knockout too. But I feel very, very confident about the sub.
You know, we could have saved ourselves a lot of trouble and just summarized both of our analysis with this simple phrase: WWJS. What would Justin say? What would Justin Gaethje say? It's going to be censored, so I'm not going to say it. But what would Justin Gaethje say? There you have it, folks. Case closed. Bang the gavel.
Man, well, we gave you guys a lot of split ideas today. So hopefully you guys can let us know in the comments, whose side are you on? Which of these fighters do you guys like? You like Randy Brown, Dos Santos, Almeida, Romanov, Strickland, Costa? Let us know in the comments. If you are part of the Gilly Gang, the Diamond Club, let us know that too. Because, I mean, we actually do like Dustin Poirier, even though we're kind of shitting on him right now. Or at least I do. Javi, I know you've had some tension with Dustin Poirier. I know you've had some tension with him in the past, but, you know, I like Dustin. I feel bad. I wish that so much of the time, too, like we've seen it in the NFL where guys, they win a Super Bowl and go off into the sunset. Well, then there's some times where, like Peyton Manning, where in your last season you get benched because you just don't have it anymore. The life's cruel. Not everybody gets the same going away party and going out on the horse into the sunset. I really have a bad feeling about this for Dustin Poirier. I think it ends early. It's going to be kind of anticlimactic on this card. That's why I'm really excited about the Strickland fight, because I feel like that could just be a banger and go any direction. This one, I mean, I think what's his Chael Sonnen was talking about this fight too, that it's one of those things where it almost feels like everybody knows how this is going to end already before the fight even happens.
But no, on a real note, I mean, everything you said is valid and everything you said is true. But on a real note, from my personal perspective about Dustin Poirier, he's not my most hated fighter, not by a country mile. There's some other fighters maybe somewhere down the line of doing this. I'll reveal my most hated fighters. If you follow me on Twitter, you could easily guess one of them. I love to especially piss off his fans because it's so easy to do. So easy to piss his fans off with just various things I say. My favorite, I'll give you a quick preview before I get into the crux of the issue here. It's one I posted a few days ago that I'm ashamed that Twitter throttled the reach on. It was really quite great. I said that the scene from Crank 2 High Voltage, where a lubed up shotgun is stuck up the ass of a victim, but the plot twist is that the recipient is an Ngannou fan and they thoroughly enjoy it. But that's one of my most hated fighters. So what I'm getting at with this is I don't hate Dustin Poirier. He's definitely not one of my most hated fighters. In fact, when I first started my combat sports journey, his affectionately, as Jack Slack calls it, his hillbilly shoulder roll was something I implemented into my striking as one of my very first techniques. I experimented around with and fucked around with and whatnot. And my combat sports journey, much like young women in college experiment with lesbianism, it was my first foray into the world of combat sports. And it was cool. And he's done a lot, and he's had a lot of legendary fights, and he's done a lot for the sport. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, the fact that I relate to him so much as somebody who, you know, maybe life shouldn't shit on so much. At the biggest moments, life has shit on him. And I guess that's where my resentment lies, is because familiarity breeds contempt. And that's a bit philosophical, but that's why you tune into this show, because you get MMA, you get comedy, you get philosophy, and you get life lessons from Justin Gaethje and his thoughts on grappling and what two men can do to you.
Well, guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. We put out a episode for every card. Bobby, you got anything before we get out of here?
No, just thanks for the dedication. Thanks for the appreciation. And we're really slogging through some shitty cards for the foreseeable future. I previewed the next 2 weeks, and boy, does it look fucking bad. That's all I'm going to say. But if you keep fucking tuning in, then maybe you're a member of the BDSM club too, because goddamn, this is some punishment, I got to say.
Thank you guys for watching again. If you haven't yet, and you guys are fans of fantasy football, you guys can head over to bettergreen.com right now. And the draft guide pre-order is officially out. The second edition of the Better and Green draft guide for fantasy football. It's got more content than ever. It's going to be jam-packed. It's going to have a mock draft, 2 mock drafts from both of us here on this show. Also, if you haven't checked out Sharps yet, please make sure you guys do check out Sharps. It's a social media platform for sports bettors. You could tail plays straight from the app. You just press the whale tail, it'll take you to your sports book. And if you guys haven't yet, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace, guys.
Peace.
Better start listening to the Better and Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spots from the bottom to the top, eh? Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better and Green.